Last year, Amazon sold $717 billion worth of everything. Books, groceries, electronics, clothes, shipped from over 1,000 warehouses in boxes that land on doorsteps around the planet every single second. It is the largest online store on Earth. By far, no company has ever sold this much to this many people, this fast. But here's the number nobody expects. Of every dollar of profit Amazon made last year, 57 cents came from a business most of its shoppers have never even seen. Not the store, not the boxes, not Prime. Something else entirely, hidden behind the storefront. So this is the real question. How does the world's biggest store actually make its money? Because the store is not the answer. Follow the dollar. It doesn't go where you think. Most people think Amazon's business is simple. It sells things. It takes a cut. It profits. That's the illusion. For its first 2 decades, the store barely made money at all. Wall Street joked that Amazon was a charity, run for the benefit of consumers. Every dollar the store earned went straight back in. More warehouses, more selection, lower prices. Then, in April 2015, Amazon opened its books on a side project, and everything changed. Amazon Web Services, a division renting computing power to other companies, storage, servers, databases. In its first reported quarter, it brought in $1.5 billion, growing 49% a year. And it was already generating $265 million in operating profit. The boring side project had better economics than the entire store. And AWS wasn't even a master plan. In the early 2000s, Amazon built massive computing infrastructure just to keep its own store alive. In 2006, it started renting that infrastructure out. Storage first, then servers. Suddenly, a startup could rent a supercomputer by the hour instead of buying one. And by 2022, the mask came all the way off. That year, Amazon's retail business lost money in North America, $2.8 billion. It lost even more internationally, $7.7 billion. And AWS, it earned $22.8 billion in operating profit, single-handedly carrying the entire company. The store lost money selling you things. The cloud paid for all of it. So who actually pays Amazon? 5 different customers, and most of them aren't shopping. First, the shoppers. Online purchases brought in $269 billion in 2025, the biggest revenue line, and, as you'll see, the thinnest one. Second, the sellers. Independent merchants who sell through Amazon's marketplace and pay for the privilege. Referral fees, fulfillment fees, storage fees. Those fees added up to $172 billion last year. In fact, about 60% of everything sold on Amazon comes from these independent sellers, not from Amazon itself. Amazon runs them all. The sellers run most of the stores, carry the inventory risk, and pay the toll. Third, the brands. Companies pay Amazon for the top of your search results. That advertising business quietly collected $68.6 billion in 2025. Fourth, the members. More than 200 million people pay for Prime, feeding a subscription line of nearly $50 billion a year. Prime looks like a subscription. It works like a lock. Once you've paid for the year, Amazon becomes the default place you buy. And fifth, the customer you never see. Companies, startups, banks, airlines, streaming platforms, government agencies, all renting their computing from Amazon Web Services. They paid $128 billion last year, and they are where this story is going. Because now we can follow the money, all of it. Take one single dollar of Amazon's revenue in 2025. 38 cents come from shoppers buying from Amazon's own store. 24 cents come from seller fees. merchants paying for access to those shoppers. 10 cents come from advertising. 7 cents from subscriptions like Prime. A few cents from physical stores and other services. And 18 cents come from the cloud. So the store side, all combined, makes 82 cents of every dollar Amazon collects. Now, flip the question. Forget revenue, follow the dollar of profit. Of every dollar of operating profit Amazon earned in 2025, North American retail kept 37 cents. International retail, just 6 cents. And AWS, the segment with 18% of the revenue, took 57 cents of the profit. Here's why. A retail dollar has to survive warehouses, packaging, drivers, fuel, returns. By the end of the trip, costs have eaten roughly 93 cents of it. A cloud dollar rides on servers that are already built, already running, already paid for. Businesses pay for it like electricity, metered by the hour and by the gigabyte. And like a utility, once the grid is built, each extra customer costs almost nothing to serve. When the cloud dollar reaches the end, 35 cents are still profit. Same company, two completely different machines. And once you see the margins, the whole design makes sense. On every dollar of sales, North American retail keeps 6.9 cents. International retail keeps 2.9. AWS keeps 35. 5 times the margin of the store it hides behind. And Amazon's thin retail margins aren't a failure. They're just what retail is. Compare it to the only company on the planet at the same scale. Walmart's revenue last fiscal year, $713 billion, almost identical to Amazon's. Its operating margin, just over 4%. Selling physical things to people is a brutally thin business, no matter who does it. The warehouses, the planes, the vans. Amazon runs the most expensive retail machine ever built. The moat itself eats the margin, which is why Amazon spent the last decade quietly re-engineering the store itself into an ad machine. Advertising grew 22% last year to $68.6 billion, and it's booked inside those retail segments. That single line is bigger than the entire annual revenue of most Fortune 500 companies, and it runs through the website you already visit. No new warehouses, no new trucks. Showing you one more sponsored product costs Amazon almost nothing. So even the store's modest profit increasingly comes not from selling you things, but from selling brands the right to reach you. So the profit engine is the cloud. The question is whether anyone can take it. Today, AWS holds 28% of the global cloud infrastructure market. Microsoft holds 21%. Google, 14%. It's still the leader, but it's a lead under siege in a market growing 30% a year, with Microsoft and Google spending at the same scale, chasing the same AI workloads. The defense is switching costs. Once a company builds on AWS, leaving means rebuilding everything, a migration measured in years. Most never leave. The second defense is scale. In 2026, Amazon plans to spend around $200 billion on capital expenditure, most of it on AI and cloud infrastructure. That's a moat measured in concrete, power, and silicon. Few companies on Earth can even attempt it, and AI is pouring fuel on the engine. In the last quarter of 2025, AWS grew 24%, its fastest pace in years. But concentration cuts both ways. When 57% of your profit lives in one segment, every single point of AWS margin is worth about $1.3 billion. If a price war, or an AI shift Amazon doesn't control, ever compresses those margins, there is no second engine. The store can't carry the company. Remember, it's the cloud that carries the store. So, what is Amazon really? It's not a store with a cloud attached. It's an infrastructure company wearing a store as its public face. The store buys what money can't easily buy: scale, habit, and the trust of hundreds of millions of households. And the cloud converts that position into profit, at margins retail could never dream of. The everything store was never the business. It was the world's most expensive storefront, for the machine running behind it. 18% of the revenue, 57% of the profit. Now you know where the money actually lives.